know, let them know what you've been up to. Oh, we got to get you off mute. Hang on a sec. Try it now.
Yeah. Hi. So my name is Shantha Reddy Alonso. I'm the Executive Director of Creation Justice Ministries. We bring together 38 Christian traditions to protect, restore, and rightly share God's creation. The traditions come from Orthodox, Baptist, historically Black, Peace, and mainline Protestant traditions. And so we've put out a call to our leadership team, which is made up of representatives from all of those denominations, to see what was going on in their respective communities as with regards to the climate march. And I'll share some of the updates in case they are relevant to you. So the Orthodox community is going to be there. They are figuring out who will be there and connecting them. They're still in the very beginning phases of that organization. Some of that work will run through me. I can connect you to all of them, and my contact information is on the faith page for the Climate March, Shantha, at creationjustice.org. You can also go through the Orthodox Fellowship of the Transfiguration. They're an Orthodox organization on creation issues. The Evangelical Lutheran Church in America is planning quite a turnout for the march. They have about 8 or 9 busloads that they're pretty sure are coming, mostly from Pennsylvania and New Jersey and New York. The Lutherans they have a large enough contingent that they're planning a breakfast and prayer gathering before the march. So if you're interested in that, there will be information on the Faith Climate March page as well. They're posting their stuff directly there, as well as on the Christian Hub that I've put together, which is linked to on Faith Hub as well. The Alliance of Baptists is interested in pulling together a contingent. They're at the beginning of their planning phases, but they will be putting the word out and looking for Baptists to connect directly with Creation Justice Ministries. So if you are connected to Baptists, please connect them to me. The United Church of Christ has been recruiting heavily for the Climate March. They are expecting about 250-ish people, and they will be They will be welcoming people through a few local congregations, including Rock Spring UCC in Virginia, which has been very active. They're actually planning to host about 50 people, and they're planning to take people to the Ready for 100 rally the morning before the Climate March. The Mennonite Central Committee is expecting some people as well. They're actively advertising it through the Mennonite website. Their plans are still loose. The Christian Church Disciples of Christ through their Green Chalice Ministry and the Western North Carolina Creation Care Alliance will be bringing a pretty good contingent. So far, they're pretty confident they've got about 50 folks, and they keep recruiting nationwide. The African Methodist Episcopal Church will be putting out alerts about this through their social action network. While they don't have numbers yet, they expect to have some response, particularly from the local community. And then I have gotten a little bit of interest for recruiting at HBCUs and some of the church networks there. So we're going to start reaching out to them this week. My next steps are to provide all of the folks who are part of the creation justice community to have materials that they can put in their bulletin inserts and in their church newsletters and on their websites about the Climate March, and make sure that everybody has the promotional materials they need to get the word out about the march. And then I saw this week there was some information about connecting regarding rides and buses. That is by far the most common question that I've gotten so far is I want to get there, but I don't know that I can get a ride. And so I'm glad that's up and running now. So that's my update. Any questions?
Great. Thanks, Shantha. And Shantha, how about any good anecdotes, stories you've heard that have really gotten you psyched up or made you smile about mobilizing work that anybody's doing?
Well, it was really nice on our call that we had last week that there were a few people that said, if we do a sign making party the night before the march, what's going to be uniquely religious about it? And so people said we need to have a brainstorming session about uniquely religiously themed signs that we're going to be carrying at the march, which I thought was a fun idea. It got some gears turning in my head.
Great. and have it with you mentioning the signage and the arts piece of the picture. We had hoped today to have Rachel Schragus from the PCM arts team on the call. She wasn't able to make it today, but I'm pretty sure she'll be able to make it next week. And so we'll have more arts updates in that kind of way also. Great. Well, thanks, Jonathan. Thanks for all of the work you're doing on this. Patrick, why don't we pass it to you for an update on what the different how you're doing with the Franciscan and the Catholic communities.
Well, thank you. Can you hear me, Patrick? Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Oh, okay. First of all, I have to say that I wish I had gone first, because now I feel like I'm never going to be able to top what Shanta just said. And all the great work she's doing. So I also think it's a real testimony to the interfaith part of all the work we do, is that Shanta's doing all this work for Creation Care Ministry, and she's actually a Catholic. And so she's working outside of her own faith tradition to help bring together faith people, and doing an excellent job of it. If you guys aren't familiar with Creation Care Ministries, you should all check them out. We've been having regular Catholic calls to try to get the Catholics organized and motivated. We are working with a number of Catholic organizations, including, and I'm really happy to say, the Catholic Climate Covenant is a key partner, even though they are not formally endorsing the Climate March. They are very actively working with us and partnering with us and others on helping to get turnout. We've put together a bulletin insert for any of the Catholic churches and wherever you are, that if you would like to have a bulletin insert that you can put in your bulletin to alert people of this, let us know, and we'll get email it to you, and you guys print it out and insert it in. We're also, I think, going to be working with some of the other faith traditions to, so that everyone can have one of those within their own faith tradition. We're doing a mass on the Saturday morning at St. Dominic's, which is right near where the march starts. And so that'll be at 9 a.m. So we hope folks that are coming in early enough can come and join us at Mass. And there's also a number of events on Friday for people who are coming in on Friday, both that we and the Catholic Climate Covenant are organizing jointly, including a lobby day to meet with folks on Capitol Hill on this issue. And I think that's about all I have at this point in time.
Super. And Patrick, any good? You're always a good one for anecdotes. Any good anecdotes in terms of things that you've heard from the field?
Well, you know, the best one I've gotten is I was on a call last week with some folks from Australia on a completely different issue. It had nothing to do with this. And one of the people on the call said, by the way, we're planning to have some events on April 29th in support of your climate mobilization. And these are Franciscans. And even though this wasn't the purpose of the call, it's a whole different issue. So like the Women's March, it's sort of spreading organically, and we can expect marches or prayer vigils happening both around the country, but also around the world.
Great. That's fantastic. Well, many thanks. And if folks have any questions for Shantha or Patrick, please send them in using the chat function or the Q&A function. We'll make sure
Hello?
to. Patrick, can you hear us? Patrick, are you able to hear us?
Place going to be for the faith community. And so let me just comment on that, is that at this point in time, that's not finalized. As Fletcher and I were talking earlier with some other folks, and we reminded people that at the People's Climate March in New York 2 years ago, we didn't know where the faith community was going to meet until underneath. We are going to have a speaker and an ability for where we meet as a faith community to do some stuff together before the march starts, including we're going to have the interfaith prayer vigil just before the march starts, and possibly some music, things like that, which we get at people's time to march as well. So that'll all happen. We'll alert you as to exactly where we're meeting, though, at some point in time.
That's great. And thanks, Patrick. I lost the connection for some reason for a couple of minutes.
Are you back, Fletcher?
Yep. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Are you able to hear me?
There you go. Now you're back.
Okay.
It's a little slow, but you're back. Also, we can only see your forehead.
Okay. I'm not sure why I'm seeing a good internet signal, but it's not happening too well. And it sounds like Patrick, it sounds like you went through the sort of update on what we know about the march route and the gathering and that sort of stuff, and the time that we may have for prayers. I've got up on the list, up on the screen now, the graphic that we shared last week, just as a refresher, or for folks who weren't able to join us then. But we'll be lining up somewhere there in front of the Capitol, and the exact place for that will be nailed down fairly soon. But just so and we'll send this out. What still is up in the air is the exact nature of what's going to happen at the mass gathering on the grounds of the Washington Monument at the very end of the march. And there's also work going on to define more clearly what the nature of what we'll do symbolically when we circle the White House will be. So anyway, lots to, still more details coming in, but that's the update on that front as well. We also, Patrick referenced a call that we had earlier today with a number of different network leaders from the faith community. And Patrick, did you talk some about the really encouraging everybody to make a push with getting announcements made in faith communities of various kinds?
I only mentioned the parish bulletins that we're doing, and that it can be adaptable, but I didn't mention beyond that the general push for as much as possible. And the other thing I didn't mention, Fletcher, which you might want to mention, is the webinar for priests, ministers, rabbis, imams that we're going to be doing. Yep,
that's or do you want to describe that, Patrick?
Okay, since I started talking about it, we're organizing a webinar. If people remember the People's Climate March, we had a series of breakfast meetings around the New York area where we invited clergy to come and really try to get them excited so they'd go back to their congregations. We don't really have time for that now, so what we are going to do is a webinar where we're really trying to line up some very exciting speakers to just really push and motivate clergy to get their congregations to come. So that'll be on April 7th. Did we agree on, Fletcher, I think?
We said Thursday, April 6th at 11 a.m. Eastern.
April 6th at 11 a.m. Eastern time. We'll send out, and I think, we'll send a notice out to everybody on this call, but also we want it to be for clergy. We're not trying to be exclusive, but we think it's important for it to be for clergy. So if you're not clergy, give it to your clergy and invite them to be part of this call. Because it really is to try to get people motivated, excited, and really push for their whole congregation to come.
That's great. Thanks, Patrick. I've seen a couple of questions come up in the sidebar that I can answer. One question came up about restrictions on posters and placards and that sort of thing. We are going to be hearing more in detail about that when we have Rachel Schragus on the call with us, I hope next week. We generally suggest to folks that the best way to think about this is, if you're making, don't bring signs that have wooden wooden poles that you're holding them on, or metal poles. The police, generally speaking, don't like things that can be turned into weapons. They want people to be kept safe. We'll have more information about that when we talk with Rachel and when she's with us next week. We are working. I saw a question in from our friend, everybody's friend, Nancy Lawrence, who's been so important in terms of organizing the Catholic community in New York. She noted that in 2014, Catherine Skopik made wonderful signs, pennant-shaped signs for all of the different faith communities. We've emailed Catherine to see if she's still got those, and we're waiting to hear back. So we hope very much that she does. And if we can't find those, we'll kick into gear and figure out another way to make it possible for different denominations and faith traditions to find each other. And we'll find out also about whether bamboo poles are permitted as a way to carry and transport signs. I'll do, because there is a question that came up about the route of the march. So I'll pull up the screen share again. So the idea is that we will be beginning, for those of you who are looking at the screen, we'll be beginning in the lineup in front of the U.S. Capitol and starting the march there. We'll be marching down Pennsylvania Avenue towards the White House. And at that point, we'll encircle the White House and the White House grounds. And there will be some kind of symbolic action there as we collectively encircle the White House grounds. And then we'll be going to finish on the grounds of the Washington Monument, where there will be some form of mass gathering. We're working out, and we've mentioned on previous calls that we have asked the Muslim community to lead the faith community as we march. We want to demonstrate both solidarity and admiration for all that the Muslim community is doing to be important contributors to our society here in the U.S., while at the same time being under a really inexcusable level of stress and discrimination from our current government nationally. So they're going to be leading us, and we're working with the Muslim community, and we'll have a leader from the Muslim community share with us at some point in the next couple of weeks about their plans. We're trying to figure out about how to time it so that there can be a time when the Muslim community will be able to have their regular midday prayers during the course of the march, and for us all to be supportive of that. So anyway, that's the information about the route. And there's good information in, and maybe what I'll do is, George Hogue has been sharing some super information from the Buddhist community. And George, thanks a million for putting that up. And we'll have a representative, maybe we'll have either George or another representative of the Buddhist community one of these next weeks to bring us an update. And George noted that there's information at oneearthsangha.org. That's ONEEARTHSANGHA.org. And I'm pretty sure that the One Earth Sangha URL is up on the faith page for at faith.peoplesclimate.org. Another question has come in about whether there will be speakers at the mass gathering. The answer is that that's not yet been determined. There's definitely a desire to have music. Right from the start, the PCM, I think very intelligently, has wanted to avoid a kind of a rally environment where there are a certain number of speakers, because as a people's movement, we believe that the message that we want to send is that this is not a sort of a movement led by famous people. It's a movement led by regular everyday people. And one way to send that message is to avoid having a rally where you get a sort of a traffic jam of everybody wanting to speak. So there was discussion at the PCM steering committee meeting last week. We'll have, I think, more information to share about the mass gathering within the next couple of weeks as that gets figured out. Pat Almanroad asked if, who has been managing the faith.peoplesclimate.org webpage, asked me to mention that if you go to that page, excuse me, you'll see there's a new link to faith-specific transportation information. Pat has been able and has been trying to pull together information about all of the buses that are being sponsored specifically by faith groups, and he's done a really super job with that. So if you you'll see that link right at the top of the faith page. There's also a link that Pat has there to the broader People's Climate Movement transportation page, which actually has more information about buses. At the PCM steering committee last week, it was noted that I think there are over 280 buses that we have record of so far that are coming to DC. Those buses will be coming and will be parking at RFK Stadium, and we'll be taking the metro from there into downtown DC, where they can connect up with the march. And we'll have a little bit more. We'll have a more specific sort of transportation and logistics update from someone on the PCM staff within the next couple of weeks also. Looking, I'm not seeing any other questions. Patrick or Shantha, anything else that either of you guys would like to add?
Maybe I will add that Creation Justice Ministries is very likely going to combine with the Global Catholic Climate Movement's Advocacy Day, the Friday before the march. We're just checking out the viability of that, but there's been pretty strong interest. A few dozen people said they would like to join. So if you sign up on our page, you will get more information about that as well.
That's great, and that's really good to know, because the week between the Science March and the PCM March for Climate Jobs and Justice is a week where there are going to be a growing number of different kinds of actions planned, and so it'll be great. We'll make sure that we get word out about that. So.
Yeah, and Ms. Patrick, the only thing I want to add is that first of all, I really want to thank everybody for being on the call and being engaged and involved in this. And really, we have a couple of weeks, a month left. So now is the time to really go all out and not hold anything back. And, just ask. The best way to reach people is through personal invitation. But don't be afraid to ask your neighbors, your friends, the people in the pews next to you if they're coming. Can you help them set up, or can they help maybe even to arrange for transportation? Ask your minister, your preacher, your priest, your rabbi, if they will talk about it on Saturday or Sunday at services, or on Friday night if you're a Muslim. Really push them, ask them to talk about it. We have a month. Now's the time to really make the full court effort to make this a huge success, just like we did at the People's Climate March.
Yep, absolutely. And folks should be aware that a number of the faith groups that have been really working together on doing the mobilizing and organizing work for this are, we're all aware that there's word that the administration is going to issue an executive action that's going to be going toward dismantling the Clean Power Plan, and we're going to be preparing emails that many of our various organizations are going to be sending out, with the bottom line being that it's absolutely vital that we show up in Washington, D.C. to make it clear how many of us feel that that's a wrong and misguided decision that the administration is making. So stay tuned on that, and we are aware that that's coming down the pike. Well, I'm not seeing any other questions or comments from folks. Many thanks. We are aware that the registration link on the PCM site for the webinar is not working currently. We'll get that repaired, and we'll have our regular weekly call next next week, same time, same place. Patrick and Shantha, many, many thanks for joining in and for all that you guys are doing. It's great to be working together.
Thanks for having us.
All righty. Take care, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks again to everyone.
Take care, everybody. Good night and God bless. Bye-bye now.